Greetings, everyone, and thank you for being here, and thank you for your patience as we plug in the last pieces of the show and programming for the rest of the morning. I was off and running, basically putting the uh, Rumble show, not Rumble for this. That's going to start tomorrow. I need to set up a new Rumble channel so we can start to simulcast these streams. But no, the actual Rumble show that takes place at 9:10 a.m. Central Standard Time, uh, also known as 15 Minutes of Flame. So I just had to put the final pieces of that together. Because when so I put these shows together at night before I go to bed, and what I'm trying to do, especially on the 15-minute side, is find something topical to talk about. And normally, if I wait until the morning comes, there's almost always something to talk about and work into what we will explore and discuss. But last night, as I was doing that, I was online and I saw the Ruidoso in New Mexico. The entire town is being evacuated, and because of fire, it's another fire. And I have never been to Ruidoso, but I know a lot of people who have been. And a good friend of the show, Wit, is out there, and I tried to get a hold of him after I found out about this. And there's no cell service. I left him a text message, and people are basically being told to just get up and go. Right, and that's big horse country in Ruidoso. I think they have a racetrack there, and there's a lot of horse people there. So, uh, it's always terrible to hear about these things, and it feels incredibly disempowering in a lot of ways. Uh, that we can't just, somehow bring our collective will together and, form a massive thunderstorm with thousands and thousands and thousands of gallons of rain coming down from the heavens and dousing the disaster. And so, this is a hard part, right? Because we're God and we're not God, and sometimes these things happen, and for whatever reason, right? People have the mark of tragedy in their lives, and then just like a fire, they grow back stronger. Usually, that's what happens in most situations where there's controlled burns or even uncontrolled burns. So everybody out there in Ruidoso, we all hope you're safe, and that you're getting to you know healing ground, so to speak. And yeah, so if anybody has any information in chat you want to share about that, please do. It's another it's another fire that we're experiencing in a time where it seems like every day and every moment is just fraught with some kind of fire or another, right? Either a physical fire or some kind of cultural fire or military fire. Speaking of military, and I'm going to get into the weather here in just a second and check in with you guys. So looks like Netanyahu is now starting to cross some swords with the IDF. I'm going to get into more of that over on 15 minutes. So the theme of 15 minutes is about the Hunger Games and starvation prior to regime change, which is a nice light topic to wrap your head around early in the morning. But as usual, we'll try to bring the ship safely into port at the end so that you don't feel as though you're on the SS Hopeless. Anyway, let's go into chat. It's been a little bit. I tried to muster up some energy for Sunday night, but it was just I've been driving for what, about 8 hours, and not just there's driving and then there's intense driving. It was very intense driving. So I had an hour. By the time I got back, I had an hour to get the show together, and I'm just like, no, I can't do this. Can't do it. So anyway, we'll come back strong next week. All right, who do we have here? There's my man DJ MC. What's going on, brother Mike? And we have MM, the Muse Memorandum, also known as JJ. JJ. What's happening, JJ? We have MM, and then we have KK, the California Contrarian, misbehaving too. What's going on? There's my man Jeff Rosen. What's going on, brother? Dova Haza, hi. Thor at the door. My man Steve. What's going on, brother? Pedrita. I'm going to send you a text today, Pedrita. You got a text coming at you. There's a man, Tom Jordan, locking it down from the living room. Let's see here. Soul Traveler. What's happening to Soul Travel? Nora Sheed, the queen of speed. I think Nora was a winner last night in Vegas. Not only that, looks like she made it back in one piece. That makes her a double winner. There she is, the lovely and talented one, Dr. Jonas. Integrity and Karma. Everyone buy a lottery ticket. Gee, I'm here not only late, but early. Yeah, isn't that amazing? Mary Lee. Greetings, Mary Lee. All is well in the Music City. Good. Scrubbies, out walking the dog. It's 45 degrees. We're getting a little rain here today. Oh, speaking of dogs, look who's here. Yeah, it's the Peachy dog. So I came home yesterday. Tom says, I haven't seen Peachy since last night. Oh my gosh, she does this every now and then. She disappears. So the day goes by and we still don't see Peachy. And I'm like, I know where that little bitch is. She's in the garage. And I opened the door. And there she is. She'd been in the garage all night long, weren't you? Yes, you were. All right. Who do we have here? Liddy Lou. Waiting on the weather to come in from the Gulf. We're getting a little rain here. A little bit of rain. We need it. Veronica's Barn, a great crew already. Oh, absolutely. We always have a stellar crew. Noisy little bugger outside my window. There's a red fox. They decided to wake you up. Yeah, too bad it wasn't the red fox who decided to wake you up. He probably would have dropped a fuck in there within the first 10 seconds. Jackie Delario. I think Jackie Delario's run in South Jersey. That's what I think. Good to see you, Jackie. Who else do we have here? Orlando can't be here today. So tell everyone that she sends her love. Okay. Orlando, I have one last sip for you. There we go. One last sip. Harry Boo. Hey, what's happening? Christina Jersey, heat bubble over in Ohio. At least the tomatoes are happy. Yes. Got to protect those Tommy Toms. My man Ryan, what's going on, brother? The introspective woodworker in the house. Let's see. Me and Manolo, not new to Robinson, first time joining. Hey, welcome to the chat. We always welcome new chatters. Miss Nikki's here. Maria d'Ange. What's going on, Maria? Bonjour. Let's see. Who else we have? Glemma. Hey, Glemma. Greetings, Julia Payne. Well, from way down under. We're talking New Zealand. Source by McMahon. How many more minutes? Well, I think we answered that question. Sounds like right. I had a brutal. I'm not going to talk about it here. I'll talk about it on 15. Let's see. Carly. Hi, Carly. What's going on? Nida Caps. KFC. Greetings. Patricia, just being me. We're good that you can't be anybody else. If you're being anybody else, you're impersonating yourself. It doesn't work. Claire, what's going on, Claire? Brandy Herrera, 81 and raining in New Orleans. Sharon Lewis, greetings. Mary Greether. We're going to Mary Greether. So, hi, Mary. Amy Gill, perspectivized. I like that. Perspectivized. Scott Jerzik, what's going on, brother? Good to see you. Down the Wombat Hole. Enjoy the stabilization of Moon Saturn today. Oh, we like a little Moon Saturn stabilization in our lives. Yes, we do. That's important. It's a little mother-father connection. Let's see. Kelly B, what's happening? Third eye activated. Everyone gets a turn to evacuate. Marge, you out there? Are you anywhere near Ruidosa? I know you're in New Mexico. Let's see. Maya Rose. Hi, Maya. Greetings, Green Eyed Crow. Catherine Rosen. They just rebuild weak someplace else. Things don't. Well, I don't know. I think some fires have actually yielded some interesting results, especially in California where I grew up. There was some interesting, but it's a different topography. Amy Gill, what's going on? Good to see you. Let's see. What else do we have here? Thank you for the. You know what I got on Father's Day? I got two great things on Father's Day. One, I got a phone call from my son on Father's Day, which was fantastic. The other is I had some roadside Korean food with the lovely and talented one. So those were two great things that happened on Father's Day. PB, what's happening, PB? Krista Royce, greetings. Robin Dan, Hot Dan. Robin's with us. A squirrel is here. Hey, squirrel. Good to see you. It's been a while, at least in this realm. Let's see. What else do we have? Barbara Boots, gorgeous morning, at least until it heats up this afternoon. Carolyn Moore, North Shore of Boston. Almost summer. Here it comes. Cancer on the way. Cancer rising. Brandon Lee checking in from South Carolina. Emmy Green. Hi, y'all back, Emmy. Let's see. Who else do we have? If only people take action to help communities, thoughts and prayers. You can't eat or shelter in those. Well, so what can we do, right? What can we do? If you're in New Mexico, can you help people? If Whit wants to come here, he can come here. I got an extra bed, right? I got an extra bed. So if you're in New Mexico, maybe you want to step up. I don't disagree with you, March. Let's see. A lot of people said my dad was the unofficial mayor of Margate because he knew everyone. There you go, Jackie. I know you're running that town. I was glad to leave, not here. It's green. So Lynn was on the coast of California. We get fires and mudslides. What we got with Platinum, who had surgery. Do we have a Platinum sighting? I am back from hip surgery. Extremely painful. Hard to find basic help. Dealing with depression and grief over my hip. It will get better. It'll get better. Everybody I know that has had hip replacement surgery has gotten better. It takes time. Hang in there. It's a Saturn thing, right? It's a Saturn thing. In Scorpio rules the hips. So there you go. Let's see. I'm going to bring this up here. I'm not going to bring it up. I'm going to save it. I got a big show planned for Friday, but I can't unveil it too early. I'm working on it. Let's see. Soul Traveler. All right, I think we're all caught up. Oh, meow meow. Meow meow. Hi, meow meow. Woke One's Revolution, Heather Botkin. It's thick, hot, and humid here in Wichita. Well, you better stay in touch with the old lineman there, just to make sure that your power is in place. Power is important, especially this thing called air conditioning. Like, what the fuck would we do without air conditioning? Really? It's because I didn't grow up with air conditioning. But then again, I lived in California. We didn't need it. And it was literally kind of cool. All right, before I start, hit the like. Please subscribe if you're new. And if you have subscribed, make sure you stay subscribed. Ring the bell. If you'd like, please join us on Locals. I got some content I'm going to upload to Locals today. And we're going to be planning our next local session, which I will post on locals this week. It will be for the supporting members only. And I may do just a regular locals for everyone too. So everybody gets a little something, but the supporting members get the longer version, the stronger dose, as it were. Did I leave anything out? You can buy me a cup of coffee as well if you feel like it. The link is listed below in the show notes. Let's get into the weather. All right. So supposedly World War III is going to start in 2 days. I don't know if you're aware of that or not, but that's the word on the street. And, keep looking at that Mars-Pluto square. You know what happens when you get into a Mars-Pluto square? Even here at 5 degrees, people don't back down. They don't back down. It's like a stupid form of not backing down. It's kind of a mixture of obstinance and pride and ignorance, I would say. And we've all been there, right? We've all been at that place where it's at least once in our lives, you're going to go down with the ship, right? You're just going to go down with the ship. And you're like, fuck it. I'm pot committed. I don't care. I'm going down with the ship. Sometimes it could involve a friend, a family member, a past decision that you unfortunately have to own, but instead of owning it, you're going to go. That's kind of where we are with the world right now. This is this Mars-Pluto square, and you have a bunch of so-called leaders, and they're not leaders at all. They're not even close to leaders. They all are just puppets on a string, but they're being told what to do, right? They're being told what to do with some form of supposed reward. Maybe it's the 3-bedroom condo in the cities and the planet that's beneath our own planet. I don't know what is motivating some of these people. Some of them are just flat out satanic. Some of them are I don't know what they are. I think of the TV series V when I think of these people. Right? They're not from here. They're masquerading as humans. They're wearing latex masks. So we have this Mars-Pluto square, and it's kind of like the bad version of Tom Petty won't back down. It's a bad version of Petty. In fact, it's a petty version of Petty. So that's out there, right? There's not a lot we can do about what's happening out there. The amalgam of your choices bring you to the point of your life where you currently are. The amalgamation of your choices bring you to the point of life where you currently are. That's what it comes down to. And then obviously moving forward, there's a series of other choices that take you from this moment to the next moment to the next. It's all an accumulation of everything you've ever thought, said, or done. That's how you got here. And you're here now. Right. So let's flip the script a little bit. Okay. Let's look at this Mars-Pluto square, and we're going to lean into it. Right. We're going to lean into that Mars-Pluto square, and you're going to look at this as if this is your life. Right. What is your life worth? What is your life worth? Is your life worth nothing? Is it something that is just casually tossed aside, like some piece of non-recyclable trash, even though you are recyclable? So this is really where we get into, fuck it. And we've been here for a while, by the way. Ever since Mars went into Taurus, it's and squaring Pluto. You're in the game, right? You're in the ring, and you need to do things that keep you in the ring and in the game, whatever they are, whatever they are. It's really interesting, this whole dynamic between surrender and acquiescing and actually fighting and being in the battle for your and other people's livelihood. It's a really interesting dynamic. Really interesting dynamic. Well, with a Mars-Pluto square, there's no middle ground here, right? There's no middle ground. So make a stand. Make a stand. Do things that are going to keep you in the game. Live your life like like your life depended on it. And it doesn't mean that you have to be desperate and have desperate measures, right? But be aware of like what we have, right? We're on the clock here. I don't know if you know that, but we're on the clock. And I bring it up from time to time, and I don't dwell on it a ton because we need things to get us through the other side, and we're just entering the, I don't want to use the word birth canal. I've used it before. I started talking about this with this Mars-Pluto square when it happened. But we are in a long delivery phase. Okay? We're in a long delivery phase. And you got to get to the other side. You got to get to the other side. You got to get to the side where you get your bottom spanked and you get your first breath and somebody's in the hospital room warding them off to keep you from getting vaccinated. That's important. That is important. Whatever it is. And again, it could be a garden. We got a squirrel in chat. It could be biochar. It could be anything that keeps you in the game and keeps you here, right? You got to be here. Where else are you going to go? Unless, of course, you have the ability to beam out of your body and leave it all behind, in which case, more power to you. Pretty evolved. So I know it's minor, but I'm like 1 or 2 steps away from finishing a truck project that I've started working on in 2019, which is when I think I got the truck in 2020. It was in my head, and I was watching a lot of Gas Monkey, that show on was it Discovery or the Travel Channel or whatever, Richard Rawlings, and going through and redoing these cars and making them hot rods. Oh yeah, I can do that. 4 years and way too much money later. Yeah, I could do that, but not all by myself. Anyway, to me, that was something that was like, I need to get this done. I need to get this done. I need to get this done. Now I got it done. It can be that minor, or it could be much more major. Let's say you have some writing or a piece of music or whatever, right? Whatever. Do it. Connect with it. Raison d'etre, your reason for being, and because this is where we're tested right here with this Mars-Pluto square right there. And if you're following what's going on in the global circus, it's getting hot. It's getting real hot. And of course, we're tracking Mars coming in and conjuncting with Uranus. All right, let's get into some of the final rays of the Gemini sun. 27 degrees. We get 3 degrees left before everything gets very emotional and moves into Cancer. We've already got Venus and Mercury here. They've ingressed into Cancer. And there's a high degree of sensitivity. Now, early on, right, we have this sextile with Mars. So let your feelings and your intuition be your guide. Feelings and intuition, you do not want to stand on formality. That would be the old Saturn square right there with the sun, right? But you also want to check your feelings and intuition because we have a square with Neptune, right? So you have to have an ability to cross check, and you have to have an ability to refine your discernment. This is a discernment refinement phase over the next 48 hours. Discern and refine, discern and refine, discern and refine. And then when you have the distillation of your discernment and your refinement, then you act. You cannot go necessarily on face value here with the Venus square to Neptune and the Mercury square to Neptune. Those are agreements and those are contracts and things that are said that don't hold water. Literally, they leak. They leak. So you have to be in a place where I'm a big fan of envisioning, and envisioning is not born out of fear. It is born out of one's ability to move themselves into the future via mental pictures in your brain and allowing your body to have a somatic response around those pictures. Your body will never fail you. So if you are agreeing to something, move your body into the future, see what it looks like. And if it feels good and it resonates, you get yourself an answer. If it doesn't feel good and it doesn't resonate, you need to think about it. And you need to keep asking, I would say, more pertinent and difficult questions about the thing that you want to commit to. But once you work through that, especially now, it shouldn't be fat. We're in this time now where we don't have the luxury of time. I mean, maybe some people do. Maybe somebody somewhere out there is off grid and they've just fed their chickens and they've just watered their tomato plants. And before the sun gets maybe later on today at say maybe 2 p.m. they'll be able to kick back in their hammock and take a little siesta, right? Maybe there are those people who have that luxury of time. We don't really have the luxury of time in a lot of ways. Like we have to be able to process things very quickly, very, very quickly. Maybe you can slow time down through meditation, in which case you have more luxury than perhaps others. But we're in a period now where we have to be able to process quickly. There's not a lot of room for navel gazing right now, right? So this is all about the impact of being able to process all of your decisions, everything you need, as quickly as possible, and then move on it. Right? That's kind of where we are. That's where we've been since pre-COVID. That's where we're headed. So you get to practice it. I really like the Venus-Mercury conjunction, even though it is a bit challenged by Neptune. I really like it because it gives us an intuitive understanding about the people that we're interacting with, right? It's not intellectual. Yesterday when I was getting my wheels and tires put on my truck, I got to hang out with people at the tire place, and they're all local people. We're talking local, real local, like Texas Hill Country local. And I sat there and I talked to these guys, and I kind of got into their world a little bit. Very interesting. It's a very, very interesting code in sort of way about living life, right? I'll get into more of that over on 15. But I enjoy, they were taking too long for my wheels, but I didn't care because I was soaking up the local gravy as it were. And that's what Mercury and Venus and Cancer will do. It'll connect you into the folk, the people that are around you. And it's actually a really good aspect to get out there. You might learn a few things. Some people might share some pertinent information. It's amazing. I'll talk more about this on 15. These, of course, they're Republicans. Of course, they're Trump guys. And I said, "Hey, have any of you ever heard of Thomas Massey?" And they had no idea who Thomas Massey was. No idea. And I'm not trying to put you on an elite level, but if you're listening to and watching this stream, you probably know more about politics, the American system, and the global system than about, I'd say, 98% of most Americans. That will put you in an elite category. Bet you didn't think you were elite, did you? It's true. It was a very interesting discussion I had. So we're still in Gemini, right? 3 days left of Gemini. Chitter chatter while you can, because the mood shifts in 3 days and it becomes decidedly more emotional. And Cancer is the sign that is the most defensive of all signs. Also, I think the most underrated of all signs. We'll save that for some Cancer time. Jupiter still trining Pluto. Some people out there are making money. I hope one of them is you. It's been a great aspect for Bitcoin along with Uranus, right? Here we go. Look where Uranus is, 25 degrees, getting ready to nuzzle up against Algol. Kathy Griffin just got out of the hospital. She can't talk. Oh, poor Kathy. Poor Kathy. She had vocal cord surgery. She can't talk. Kathy Griffin was the first person that really gave me a visual image of Trump, who has his midheaven right on the conjunction with Algol. It was, she had that head of his. It was part of her art project. Remember that disembodied and bloodied head? Kathy Griffin caught a lot of hell for that because it was disrespectful and brutal and cruel. And I'm just going to say Kathy Griffin was just revealing the astrology. That was Trump. That was Trump's midheaven with Algol there, right? That was one of the greatest fucking astro syncs and gifts that I got when looking at Trump. I was like, oh, look at that. Kathy, do you know his chart? Anyway, I think it's interesting. Now she can't talk, at least for a while. So yeah, man, I hope you're profiting. I hope you're making some money with this Jupiter Pluto trine going on. Jupiter is still in the nascent stages of Gemini, so it's still young. We know Gemini is young. What else are we looking at here? We get the movement, we get the action. Let's talk about that sun. And we've been talking about this for a while. That sun sextile to Chiron. And again, that's your ability to. It's your ability to understand where you may be a little weak and deficient and vulnerable, and to be able to admit it and to act on it, and not think twice about it, right? Or maybe you could think twice, but it's always good to admit it and move on. I'll share one of those experiences over on 15. I had that this weekend. Let's see. We have that Moon-Mars opposition. It was a little more intense last night. We're getting it today. And Moon in Scorpio gets very intense, right? It's very, very intense, and it wants to hold on to everything. Let's hold on to everything from a deep, deep emotional level. Doesn't want to let go. It'll kill. It'll kill before it lets go. That's the nature of the Scorpio. I mean, I had this girlfriend one time, and she was really cool. And we had. When did I meet her? I think I met her in 1990. I think it might have been 1990. And I would say that we had about a off and on again, about a 5-year relationship, mostly on with a fair amount of off. And it was, she had a Scorpio moon, so I had a front row seat. And I would say that her jealousy was a big deal. And I didn't do anything to make her jealous. Like, I wasn't into, like, flirting or doing anything that, in fact, I was like hyper aware because she was so jealous. But eventually she became so jealous that she wound up, kind of co-creating the destruction of our relationship. I just couldn't handle it after a certain point. Right. And with the moon in Scorpio, she couldn't help herself. And that's the nature of Scorpio. So today it's an alternating position, right? With this moon Mars opposition. And it kind of gets back into this idea of, what's worth fighting for? What's worth standing for? Again, very personal decision here, very personal choices, very personal challenges. And when we get into the fixed sign territory, like we are, actions have consequences. And I'm not saying not to act, right? Somebody brought up the Moon Saturn trine stabilizing. Yeah, it is. It is. So if you can make quote unquote adult decisions and act on them, it's even better. It's even better than having to be engaged in some form of survival. And unfortunately, some people are. Let's talk about the big picture stuff. Let's get into big picture stuff. It feels like we had some of the issues with water, and it's crazy. Last week I talked about how they're shutting off the water in Idaho, and there's plenty of water. They have more water than they know what to do with, and yet they're shutting it off. So it'll be interesting to see what happens as the sun ingresses into Cancer, and the Venus and Mercury within the next 2 weeks, which is that we're starting to move into that really intense middle part of July, where I think the Middle East gets lit up in the middle part of July. So there's a lot of self-preservation with Cancer. Like, people are thinking about, well, what happens if this happens? What happens if this happens? And how am I going to get through? And how are we going to get through? I think those are all valid questions, right? So what I will say to you is, once the sun moves into Cancer, in fact, why wait now? What's going on with your water? Where's your water? Where's your water? How good is your water? David Avocado Wolf did a cutaway view of a municipal water pipe. You don't want to look at that picture. In fact, you probably don't want to drink municipal water, period, end of story. And that has nothing to do with what's in the pipes. It's what's in the water. But it's not good. And I know a lot of you don't, right? A lot of you don't. So again, we're hunkering down. We're moving into that Cancerian phase. We're looking around and asking, all right, what's important? What matters? What are my resources? What's going to get me through a particular time? These are all, ask them now before you have to ask them later. And I'm not here to fearmonger. I'm just here to give you a heads up, right? A major heads up. The good news is about this Moon-Mars opposition is that it's pretty much, by the time we get into like later this afternoon, and this evening it'll be separating. I don't be petty. Don't be petty. Keep your eyes around. Keep your eyes on the horizon, right? And just watch people who in the public sphere who assume a very petty position. Today's one of those days where people are going to reveal themselves publicly, and I'm talking about the the world stage, and you're gonna be like, what? Really? You're making a stand for that? You're a fucking idiot, right? Like you're doubling down there. Really? Watch out. Watch for this. Watch for this. And even though there's some, and has been some high investment potential or resource potential with that Jupiter Pluto trine, I would say today there is a little desperation in terms of money and resources and what's available. And it may not be coming from you, right? But it may be coming from the voices that are out there. Like we're out of this, or there's going to be a shortage of this, or there's going to be a shortage of that. So I would say be on the lookout also for what's more commonly known as panic buying. You don't want to be that person. Pluto in conjunct Mercury and Venus, we're dealing with our fears. Our fears are the threat to our safety is lurking in the background. And some of that is real. And some of that is something you don't really want to build on. Like you don't want to build a castle on suspicion, doubt, and fear. Although it's always good to have a nice moat and a good drawbridge, but that's not why you build a castle. You have that after the fact, right? But there's this Pluto inconjunct going on right now. It's really an interesting inconjunct, and especially when Venus and Mercury are just right there, freshly baked in Cancer. It's getting our attention. It's definitely getting our attention. It's signals from the underworld. Pay attention. All right, let's get into our True Hemp Science story of the day. We're running behind. In today's True Hemp Science story of the day is actually 2 stars of the day. Very interesting exercise. I wish I had more time for this, but I'm going to put it up on Locals, and I'll put it up on YouTube. I'll write more about it on Locals. YouTube, I'm limited by the amount of characters that I have. Of course, True Hemp Science is your one-stop shop for all things CBD. And if you go there and look at all their great products and type in 15MINS, what will you get? You will get a free goodie bag with your purchase of $100 or more. $150 or more, get you free shipping, and there's always a 30-day money-back guarantee. So who is our True Hemp Science stars of the day? Lech and Jaroslaw Kacyznski. So they are twins, but they are not identical twins. As you can see, they look very much alike, and it's not uncommon for twins to be born under the sign of Gemini. And this was a really interesting exercise because one of them died in a plane crash over Smolensk, and he was at that time the president of Poland. And as a result of his death, his brother, his non-identical twin brother, took over for him. And I asked myself, well, how does it look when one brother lives, the other brother dies, and the brother was in a plane crash? Like, where in the chart would there be some difference? Well, if you look at the time of birth, one is born at 2:45 a.m. and the other is born at 2 a.m. So it took 45 minutes for Lech to be born. Now, Lech, who is the younger brother, winds up becoming president of Poland. And he is the one, along with his wife, that dies in a plane crash over Smolensk. And I'm looking at the charts. I'm like, okay, what is different about the charts? Well, as you can see, it's the ascendant because of the 45-minute time difference. And in Lech's chart, we have Mars and we have Mercury closer to the ascendant. Whereas Jaroslav's Mercury and Mars are almost ingressing into the second house. So it would be astrologically correct to make the connection here with Mars close to the ascendant, and especially in Gemini, where this brother might be more accident prone as a result of all of this, right? But to me, what really stood out was the fact that transiting Pluto was in Lech's 8th house, which is the underworld, which is death, right? That is the 8th house. And where is Jaroslav's Pluto? It's not in the 8th house. It's in the 9th house, right? It's in the 9th house. And at that time, the transiting true node, which was in Capricorn, would lift Jaroslaw right to the top of the chart, right on the midheaven, and he would have to take over the responsibility of running the country for his dearly departed brother. Whereas Lex is transiting true node is not on the midheaven. It's in the 9th house, right? Transiting Jupiter's on the midheaven. So for him, it's a peak, right? It's a peak. Actually, that's his own. I'm sorry, that's his own Jupiter. But that helped him get to where he was ultimately going to, quote unquote, serve the Polish people. But the thing that really got my attention was the inconjunct with Pluto, right? They both have it because they both have Mercury Mars, which, by the way, as an aspect is fraught with danger, right? Mercury Mars conjunction in Gemini. Yeah, that's accident prone. But here with Lech's chart, that Pluto goes right into that inconjunct from the 8th house to Mars. Boom. Right there. Right there. Now, Jaroslaw has it, but it's not nearly as high in the chart, right? It's down here in the 2nd house. And so what does he do? He has to take on the responsibility of the death of his brother. And then through all that grief, somehow lead the freaking country. He served out his term, and then that was it, right? Like that's all he did. It wasn't like the hand of fate said, this is the brother that needs to be the long-term leader of Poland. That's not how that went down at all. The other thing that's interesting for me is the position of the South Node. So in Lech's chart, the transiting South Node is in the 3rd house, which puts it in the house of travel. Now, I know it's local, right? But still travel nonetheless. And in Jaroslav's chart, transiting true node South Node, rather. Transiting South Node in both cases. Transiting South Node is connecting in with what? Natal Venus, because in Venus, of course, we're dealing with relationships. In Lech's house, it's the 3rd house, which is siblings. Jaroslav's, it's the 4th house, which is the home. And it's fascinating. It's like, okay, now it's your turn. You've done this before. You get to lead the people. You get to lead the homeland. I think this is a really fascinating exercise. And of course, both men had Jupiter conjuncting their moons and Jupiter squaring their suns, right, at the time. They both have that Sun Uranus conjunction, which is explosive, unpredictable. So the Jupiter square to Sun Uranus means that there's more potential for disruption, more potential for accidents, more potential for that explosive nature of the Sun Uranus conjunction. To me, this is fascinating. It's a really fascinating exercise as to, potentially who lives and who dies and why. And I thought about doing this and putting this up on Twitter. If I had to ask you, and I just kind of blotted out the names and some of the background information, and if I had to ask you which one of these brothers died in a plane crash, if you've been following like this show and other transmissions that we've done, you'd probably be able to figure it out. I would say that 90% of you would be able to figure it out. It wouldn't be that hard. And you would probably pick Lech, unfortunately. So is it fate? Is it the chart? Is it the intertwined familial genetic blood narrative between these two who've probably done something like this before, tag teaming on responsibility and leadership? I don't know. Maybe it's a little bit of both. We're all three. At the end of the day, I think it's the chart that is making its presence known here, especially in Lech's life. That Pluto in conjunct Mars, Mercury. Fascinating stuff. Really fascinating stuff. All right. Thank you for being here. We're going to make a transition. We're going to get on out of here. And we're going to head on over to 15 minutes. What happened to my browser? Did I lose the ability to share screen? That's what I got. So there's the charts. For some reason, I lost the ability to share screen. There it is, right? Even if you're twins, 45 minutes means a lot. I think the Olsen twins are separated by less than 5 minutes. In this case, 45 minutes meant everything, at least astrologically. All right. Thanks for being here. And my message to you, to all of you, you have everything you need inside of you. Everything is there. It's all there. When we talk about astrology, it's all inside of you. It's not outside of you. It's all inside of you. And it's in that place that the God within dwells. And with that, you have everything you absolutely need, right? The creator of the true universe dwells inside of you. Never forget that. Never forget that. Treat each other well, right? Let's treat each other well. Let's do our best to stay out of pettiness. Let's do our best to stay out of casual contempt. But if you have to throw down and you have to make a stand and and do it. If you have to speak the truth, never back down from that. That's essential. But let's treat each other well, because there's a large part of this realm that has given up on that. All right, take good care. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Have a blessed day. Come on over to 15. Got a lot to talk about. Bye for now.